tropical or tropical storm later today. It's now near Morgan City, Louisiana.
This is going to fall over an area which has already been saturated with rain over the last week or two. So there's going to be considerable flash, urban, and small stream flooding, as well as some new and renewed minor to isolated moderate river flooding for all of this.
Dennis Feltgen with the National Hurricane Center in Miami. Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards has already declared a state of emergency. Meanwhile, the West is dealing with record heat. Phoenix has been dealing with temperatures above 115 degrees all week. Daily records were set this week in Arizona, Nevada, and California, where it reached 128 degrees in Death Valley yesterday. On Wall Street, the Dow lost 533, the Nasdaq off 130. America is listening to Fox News.
CuriosityStream is the only streaming service with thousands of documentaries, award-winning and exclusive content that will actually teach you something. And there are new shows every week. This week, check out The Island President and Classical Destinations with Simon Callow. For just $1.67 per month, you get unlimited access to CuriosityStream's library of content available anytime, anywhere, on any device. Signing up is easy, and if you don't like it, then you can cancel anytime. Sign up now at curiositystream.com/Fox.
Good news for people thinking of traveling to Europe this summer.
Italy is reopening its borders to American tourists. The government in Rome says from Monday it's lifting restrictions on travellers from the US, Canada, Japan and the rest of the European Union, providing those arriving have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19 or have recently tested negative. The EU has advised its member states to welcome American tourists back after more than a year of tight restrictions. In London, Simon Owen, Fox News.
This says border restrictions on non-essential travel between Canada and the U.S. will be extended until July 21st as Canada works to get more of its citizens fully vaccinated. There are growing calls to reopen the border for non-essential travel like tourism, but the country's public safety minister says less than 20% of Canadians are fully vaccinated. The border restrictions between the U.S. and Canada began in March 2020 and have been extended every month since then. The Canadian government expects to have enough vaccine delivered for 80% of eligible Canadians to be fully vaccinated by the end of July. A regional food chain is testing drone deliveries.
You may be able to have your chicken dinner delivered by drone. El Pollo Loco, located in western and southern states, is partnering with drone maker Flytrex to test deliveries in Southern California starting next week. The test will involve a select number of El Pollo Loco loyalty rewards members. The chicken chain, based in Costa Mesa, California, says the Flytrex drones can fly more than 30.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
It's The Onion Radio News. A family of 5 is found alive in the suburbs. This is Doyle Redland reporting. The Holzapfel family, long feared missing or spiritually dead, was found alive in the Chicago suburb of Buffalo Grove today, somehow managing to survive in the hostile environment for more than 8 years. Rescuers discovered the 5-person clan after a survey plane spotted a signal fire from a barbecue grill. To protect themselves from the elements during their long ordeal, the Holzapfels fashioned a 3-bedroom ranch-style lean-to with brick facing and white aluminum siding. Paramedic Mary Gill was first on the scene.
They were all suffering from severe cultural malnutrition.
The Holzapfels have been returned to civilization for now, though trips to the Art Institute of Chicago and a nice Peruvian restaurant intended to reacquaint them with urban living have been met with confusion and resistance. Doyle Redland for The Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
Free Talk Live. Yes, it is Free Talk Live, the live radio call-in program where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about whatever's on your mind. That's right, you can take control of the airwaves. The number that you need is 202-380-3699. Again, 202-380-3699. That is the new phone number. If you had a previous number saved because you like to call Free Talk Live, or you dreamed that one day you would actually press the send button and call us, why, you're going to need to update that. 202-380-3699. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the Lord, Captain, Reverend, Dr. Kickass, whatever, joining me.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
Bonnie or whatever.
Bonnie or whatever. Chris or whatever.
I guess.
Or
sure.
whatever.
Why not?
All right. I keep seeing this thing pop up all over the social media and some other places for stuff I'm doing not related to this show. We'll call it work. About Juneteenth. Now, Juneteenth is, as I understand it, supposed to be marking the day that slavery was abolished. My opinion...
Wait, when was it abolished?
Exactly. My opinion is this is a false holiday, and that's nothing against anybody who might celebrate, the overt slavery that doesn't seem to exist any longer in the United States. But it seems to be the day that we all became slaves, or at least everybody became more equal in their slavery, because I looked up a bunch of definitions of like slavery and that kind of a thing because all this Juneteenth stuff is going on. And they all say something like, you're forced to work for somebody else. Well, that's kind of what everybody does. And what's that day they have every year where it's like, this is the day that you've had to work from the 1st of the January until now in order to, pay your taxes.
I can't remember. I always hear about it.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of what it's called.
Let's just say it seems to come around in like the spring or something. I think it's, March or April. So if that's like 1/3 of the year or 25% of the year or something like that, then you're 25% a slave. Now, I don't think that slavery can be divided into percentages.
I mean,
it's more than that.
I think they're talking about like your income too, taxes, like not necessarily all the other taxes.
Right, not like your property tax, not your sales tax, but just income tax.
The reality is most of the year that you're working, it's just going to the government, all of it, basically.
And also just the time you have to spend doing things for free for them, like filling out, things for them, taking driver's tests for them.
Yep.
From a humanitarian perspective, I am glad that people don't, like farms and things like that, don't outright own other human beings and control 100% of their lives overtly, where like society pretends that it's okay to do so. What I would really like is for Juneteenth to become a day where the rest of society recognizes that we have not abolished slavery, that we are all still slaves to the largest and most frequent committer of the most atrocious crimes in all of humanity, and that is the organization type known as government.
I have a story here. I don't have to start reading it, but it's saying that some lawmakers are considering celebrating, marking Juneteenth by amending that clause in the 19th or the 13th Amendment that says that we can still have forced labor in prisons as a punishment. I mean, even that wouldn't completely eradicate slavery in America from the government, but that would be a step forward.
It is interesting, that they have, made that exclusion, right? But then at the same time, we have like taxes and things like that. So if we're all still slaves, then we didn't really pass that, that constitutional, like they're in violation by taxing effectively.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, there's all sorts of examples of forced labor, even in the United States, as a form of punishment by the state.
Absolutely.
Juveniles frequently are sentenced to community service, which they don't get paid for, and they have to go and do it, or, they face some sort of, juvenile detention center or something like that, jail.
Yep.
Essentially, they'll be kidnapped and caged. And, of course, if they resist that or their parents resist that, why men and guns will show up and purport the authority to shoot them if they don't comply.
Yeah, I literally worked at a military restaurant for community service one time. I literally was like making pizzas and hamburgers for community service. How is that serving the community
service?
I have no clue.
I had to wash emergency vehicles, fire trucks, ambulances, that kind of stuff.
As community service?
That was my community service, yeah.
I guess that makes more sense if it's a volunteer fire department or something.
I mean, like wash by hand. I don't mean like they pulled the trucks out. Well, they did pull the trucks out into the parking lot of the driveway of the fire station or whatever, but there was no pressure washer. It was buckets and wash by hand and, that kind of thing. Wash, wax, the whole 9 yards, polish the rims and all that fun stuff. Yeah. And some of the dudes were super nice about it. Some of the dudes were super pricks about it. So I guess you kind of get all types.
Yeah. I also was forced to go to anger management classes after I hurt a cop's feelings. That's forced labor.
That is the most messed up story.
Cop got butthurt and you had to do time for it
and pay money.
Yeah, it's there's this thing that's supposed to be like, freedom of speech, that we've got in the Constitution, and just kind of right out the window.
And it was like, if this was a private sector person who was doing his job that incorrectly, that I like freaked out at him. Okay. Maybe minus me freaking out, but he didn't receive any repercussions for doing his job wrong, and that's what angered me.
Yeah.
And in a private sector, he would have.
Yeah, your speech should never be the aspect that's punished. It's only the crime of some sort of violent act that should be punished.
Yeah, it should be. There needs to be a harmed party or a harmed property.
Yep.
Not harmed feelings.
Yeah.
Pig.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's and I always like to add, harm in that there is some sort of violent act involved, right? Because people will otherwise take it and say, well, there was a harmed party, you hurt his feelings, and it's like, no, that's not what we mean when we say aggression. Like that's not what I mean when I say aggression. When I'm thinking aggression, I'm thinking like some sort of physical violent act. Maybe it doesn't necessarily involve a punch or a gun or anything. Like, maybe it would involve like chemical, like poisoning. Like that's still a physical act, right?
Yep.
That harms somebody. I get that, but feelings, saying something mean.
We see this all the time, and I think at least the United States folks who grew up here and grew up watching TV and movies and things of that nature get their programming from watching these television things or these movies, and we see it all the time where somebody says something about somebody's mama. And they get all upset and haul off and punch him or whatever, and that's how the bar fight starts or whatever. We see that kind of a thing. And like
stereotype.
That's totally a stereotype, and that's not how if you're that sensitive to somebody else's words, there are way better choices you could make than starting a fight over it, much less consider calling law enforcement or something along those lines. The fact that there are laws about all sorts of things regarding speech is disturbing enough. And it is amazing to me to this day that this show exists on the radio in the way that it does. And that, it goes to show that you are only as free as the rights that you exercise. If you don't exercise the rights, then why even have them?
Gotta fight for your right to cuss out cops.
Which I can't do, of course, over the radio, thanks to the government.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're not even free, really, to say anything you want here on the radio either.
It's true. In fact, for those of you listening, if you think that you're free, then I challenge you to point out an area in your life which the government is not involved. Pick an area, any area. Figure out whether or not the government's involved in it. If you think it's not, give us a call, 202-380-3699, 202-380-3699. More Free Talk Live is on the way. This is the Friday night edition.
After a devastating war, the alien visitors were driven back, and their willing human collaborators were left behind to face the music. When Emma Jean Anderson's ex-lover springs her from prison, Nathan Foster and his 14-year-old nephew Ben are tasked with bringing the pair to justice. An easy enough job until they discover something is inside Emma Jean, and the fate of the planet hangs in the balance. The Family Business by Mike Coopery from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20 mymagicmud.com.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the program. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. It is Free Talk Live, the Friday night edition. 'Twas the night before the Porcupine Freedom Festival.
Oh, it starts tomorrow?
And all through the town.
No.
People are heading up this weekend.
It's Monday.
It
really
starts Monday technically, but
yeah,
people are heading up.
There's people there now, actually.
There is. It's true. People are setting up, getting ready, figuring out, oh, I forgot this, and having to, either call somebody or run back or whatever, right? So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I have to say, I think some of these people are crazy, man. I mean, it's 2 weeks is already a long time to go up early.
Yeah. Well, I'm stoked for Fork Fest, of course, which is, doesn't start Monday. It starts the following Monday.
Right.
But, to know that the Porcupine Freedom Festival sold out is pretty cool. It's pretty good news for, freedom in general, that there's enough people interested in attending, this type of an event where a whole bunch of freedom-loving people get together and talk about, freedom stuff. And then Fork Fest, follows the week before it and occurs on the 4th of July weekend, which is great. I still find that an amazing accomplishment for Fork Fest itself. We don't, of course, have no official numbers for Fork Fest because nobody's in charge of Fork Fest, and you can put on an event if you want to. There's some tools available. You can find all that at forkfest.party, of course, including, I think there's a map where you can put yourself on the map if you are putting on an event.
It's forkfest.com to put yourself on the map, and forkfest.party for info.
Right, for info and links to like the Telegram chat and the forum and that kind of a thing if you want to see who's doing what or get involved yourself. Forkfest.party if you want to, time is running short if you're going to attend. There was a rumor that the campground was also sold out for Fork Fest. That has proven not to be the case. There are still campsites available. There's also a hotel there. So if you, I don't know, you're old or you just want air conditioning for part of the time that you're there, you could still rent a room. I believe there are still rooms available, but you'll have to contact Rogers Campground for all of that information. So if you've been slacking and you want to come, please contact Rogers Campground as soon as possible.
Yeah,
and come and party with us.
I would also say make sure you pronunciate and say Fork Fest very clearly, because they will probably confuse it with Pork Fest, and they'll tell you it's sold out. And I think that's where the communication failure occurred.
Yeah, so I like to say the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and then I will say Fork Fest, so that there's a difference that's easily discernible for most people. So yeah, when you contact Rogers, be careful with your enunciation and make sure you specify the F as in Fork Fest. It's coming up. So we were talking a little bit about Juneteenth, and I see that, no one has taken my challenge and decided to call with an area of their life where government is not involved. So that's okay. If you want to call, you don't have to talk about what we're talking about. You can change the subject, talk about anything.
It may just be that there isn't.
Oh, I'm convinced there's not. I can't think of one.
Yeah, me either.
But if you want to call about this or anything else, the number is 202-380-3699. And of course, I'm your host tonight, the captain. Joining me,
it's Bonnie
and Chris.
I wanted to talk because this one got my goat or my cow, I guess, depending on how you want to look at it.
You mind if I say one more thing about Juneteenth before we move on? I think I've heard that Juneteenth is the day that the last slaves at the bottom of Texas were told that they were free. It wasn't just the day that the 13th Amendment was made or anything.
Correct.
And I think that's a cool thing, a great thing to celebrate. I just want people to think about, do you have to celebrate something because it's a federal, or do you need something to be a federal holiday? Do we need to give federal employees days off? I don't think they need days off, for one thing.
Well, and this particular day means a further delay in something else, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to mention?
Because of Juneteenth becoming a federal holiday, courts were closed today, even though the 19th is technically Juneteenth. They were like, oh, but we can't lose our holiday. We have to take one of the days off, so they took the 18th off. So that means that one extra day plus the weekend more waiting for possibly Judge John Stone to sign the agreement for Ian and Arya to be able to communicate, which is a violation of their First Amendment rights. The court has accepted that it's a violation of their First Amendment rights not to be able to talk to each other.
About this show. specifically.
Yeah. So there's just a piece of paper she has to sign to make it happen, and she didn't do it yesterday for whatever reason. Now she has the day off, then she has the weekend off. Why do judges get days off? I mean, like, other than the weekend.
Believe me, the irony is not lost on me, where the slave masters are the ones who get the day off to celebrate the abolition of slavery.
And I mean, that's like an annoying little thing that's happening in my life. There's probably all kinds of people who are being delayed for all kinds of bull crap that they're going through with the court system right now, just being delayed. I mean, every federal holiday does it.
And it's kind of crazy too from another perspective. It's like, why is it that government employees get the day off, but the rest of us have to work?
Right.
Know? It's like something isn't right here.
Yeah. Many things are not right.
They already stopped working at 5 o'clock on the dot every single day.
Yeah, I never stop working at 5 o'clock. It just doesn't happen.
You know, before I'm gonna preempt myself, and because we're talking about lawmakers and what they do and don't get to do, because lawmakers are supposed to be people like the rest of us, and in theory anyway, at least according to what you're taught in public indoctrination centers known as schools, they're supposed to be treated equally in the eyes of the law.
Dude, they even have exemptions for themselves.
I know.
Like Congress critters can speed on their way, at least in New Hampshire, on their way to work, right?
Oh my God.
Did you know that they can drink while on the job?
I did not know that.
So this is from...
I'd be fired if I was drinking on the job.
Oh yeah, I heard about this.
NBCConnecticut.com. Lawmakers get warning for excessive drinking during sessions.
Ian had to protest this like 10 years ago here in Keene. And so him and a bunch of people decided to go see a town hall meeting.
Yeah.
And some of them were actually drinking, and some of them just had purposeful beer-looking cans with water. And Ian, I think he got kicked out, but I don't think he got put in jail or anything. But he got kicked out, which violated his rights.
Sure.
So he, just asked the city for an apology. Yeah, because he got kicked out for drinking water out of a beer-looking container.
They claimed it was disruptive or something. It was so ridiculous.
If any of us, had a regular job, not a government job, we weren't lawmaker, even a government job if we had one, like we work for the Parks Department or something, right? Or we're an accountant or whatever, and we were drinking on the job, we'd get fired immediately. There would be no question like, oh, what's this? A bottle of Jameson at your desk, Mr. Kickass? Well, you're fired. Right? That's how it would go down for everybody else. But apparently not for these lawmakers in Connecticut who only got a warning for excessive drinking. Because apparently drinking is fine. It's just if they drink excessively that they're going to get a warning. 202-380-3699. More Free Talk Live on the way.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Yeah, 202-380-3699. Yes, 202-380-3699 is the call-in number for Free Talk Live. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
I had only mentioned the headline of this particular article from NBCConnecticut.com. And the headline, of course, lawmakers get warning for excessive drinking during sessions. So a couple of things here. Lawmakers, apparently, if they excessively drink during sessions, only get a warning. This leads me to believe that lawmakers can drink on the job during sessions.
Just not too much.
Just not excessively. And who polices that and how?
And if you go watch one of their meetings, you're not allowed to drink.
And who issues the warning? And what happens if they get issued a warning and they drink excessively again the next day or the next time or whatever?
Is it just like a party in all these meetings?
I mean, they're certainly celebrating their power over the rest of us.
I'm kind of curious who is drinking excessively at these meetings.
Me too.
I mean, I've been known to drink excessively from time to time, and it is fun. I enjoy it. I am a drinking enthusiast, if you will.
As a politician at a government meeting that you're supposed to be like.
I mean, you have to imagine that if you do take some sort of government position, that there's going to be certain stresses involved in taking that position. Or not. Perhaps it is just a big party. Maybe they're all smoking doobies and doing lines as well. We don't know.
I want to know, was it called excessive because people started acting up? Or was it called excessive because somebody was just like, oh, it looks bad that you've had 3 beers or whatever, you know?
Connecticut Speaker of the House Matt Ritter warned Wednesday that lawmakers who continue to drink alcohol excessively during legislative sessions could face serious consequences, including losing coveted committee assignments. I don't know what those are, but whatever. Apparently they're coveted. The Hartford Democrat said both he and House Majority Leader Jason Royce have recently admonished members of the Democratic House Caucus, quote, on multiple occasions, unquote, about drinking in the legislative complex, including the parking garage, while the House is in session. Drinking alcohol in lawmakers' offices, especially during lengthy debates on late nights, has occurred for years at the Connecticut State Capitol and others around the U.S. But this year, as part of pandemic precautions, the Connecticut Capitol building remains closed to the public for the rest of the session, which ends on June 9th.
So they're not doing it like in the government building. They're doing it in their own home and then
on Zoom.
Yeah, on Zoom or something.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, that's like not the same thing.
While a limited number of lawmakers are allowed to participate in person for House and Senate debates, some legislators are watching and voting remotely from their legislative offices. All committee hearings and votes were held virtually this year. It's been during those House and Senate floor debates that Democratic leaders and some lawmakers have been drinking excessively, though they did not say how many. And if I had a job and the COVID thing kicked in and I had to work remotely, which I've been in that position, and I were drunk on the job, I would still get fired. There wouldn't be any this is a warning, blah, blah, blah. No.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to be lifting up a beer and showing a beer in your Zoom screen while you're listening to the rest talking.
I mean, I have to say there is a certain amount of professionalism, you should be taking on when you're doing a job, and drinking is probably not something that most people should be doing on the job, even if it's something that they can do and get away with.
But honestly,
be an adult. At least put it in a coffee mug or something.
Yeah.
Right?
I wish they were just allowed to do whatever they wanted, but not be in control of me. Just leave me out of it.
We can talk more about this, but first let's go to Tom, who's calling from New Hampshire. Tom, you're on Free Talk Live.
It's about Juneteenth and Congress and the president signing a bill making it a national holiday. So that means that if you get pulled over for driving while black, let's say Juneteenth falls on a Monday, then you're not only Friday night you get pulled over for driving while black, and you get your attitude doesn't pass inspection. You're going to spend Friday night in jail waiting to get brought to court. Saturday, Sunday, and all day Monday, holiday, before you finally get brought to court on Tuesday.
Right.
So I really don't think that one was a very good idea, declaring it to be a holiday. Besides which, it wasn't the end of that slavery, and it certainly wasn't the end of slavery in the United States.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I'd like to point out to the listeners of this program that holiday, translated, literally means holy day. Now, if the government, the federal government, is not a religion, I contend that it is, but most people don't recognize it as such, they should not be making up holy days for the rest of us.
Yeah, they referred to a motion that Aria and her lawyer put in to the court as a prayer to the court. The government said that.
I looked that up. I actually pointed that out to Aria as well, and she said, "Oh, my attorney has already heard from me about that." That it is common language, believe it or not, in the legal system for these things to be referred to as prayers.
Yeah.
Now let me point something out here. The 19th of June, that was the day that the Major General Gordon Granger arrived at Galveston, and the last of the slaves emancipated under the Emancipation Proclamation were then emancipated. But then, that wasn't everywhere. You read that proclamation, that was when it became effective the 1st of January, 1863. It designates what states and what counties and what parishes of Louisiana that this is effective. Everywhere else, it wasn't effective.
Yep.
The slavery was banned in Maryland in November of 1864, but it was still legal in Delaware until the ratification of the proclamation, the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution on 6 December 1865, slavery was still legal in Delaware. And of course, when they force men into the armed forces, they draft men into the armed forces to fight unjust wars or any wars, that's slavery. And when they force innocent cocaine dealers to make registration plates in prison, that's slavery too.
Oh, yeah.
So,
or how about the inmates picking up trash on the highways and that kind of thing? That's forced labor.
Absolutely.
And isn't also the draft, when they do draft people into the military, isn't that also conscription?
Yeah. Now, as far as the drinking on the job, I was shoveling manure into a wagon working on a ranch when a workmate set down an open beer can on a fence post, and I said, "What are you doing, drinking beer on the job? Work time ain't the time to be drinking beer, you know." And he said, "Knock it off with the crap." So I heaved a shovelful that way, and I did exactly what he said, but that's a joke.
Oh, wow.
I actually have something in store later on in this show, Tom, that involves cow dung. It's an article that I have, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom, real quick. Bonnie wanted to say thank you for something.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for giving us the tip about the counter protest in Keene. It was really, really fun to go and troll those Republicans.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah.
There's.
Did you do it? I didn't
me and
listen
Chris
last
did.
night.
Yeah, we went out yesterday and did it. We went out and protested and everything, and not with the Republicans, but more against the Republicans.
Yeah,
it was
got
fun screaming at them.
Yeah, I got an email from them they were going to do a counter protest. We're going to protest the New Hampshire youth movement, defund the police. We're going to protest defend the police.
Yep, that's what they're saying.
I shared that with you guys.
Hey, thanks for the call tonight, Tom.
He makes a good point. If you're from Shreveport, Louisiana, for example, today's not Juneteenth for you.
Right.
There was still slavery legal.
And technically tomorrow is Juneteenth, the 19th,
yeah, tomorrow.
technically. But, of course, the feds had to make it a holiday today. 202-380-3699. More Free Talk Live is coming up.
There is no such thing as attention span, according to Jerry Seinfeld, who figures that people have an infinite attention span if you are entertaining them. Hey, he's kept us from channel surfing for several decades, and now he's making more millions as a Las Vegas headliner. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're looking for work. So choose every single word as though it was the last word the person you're speaking to will hear. Otherwise, it might be. Avoid redundancies such as added bonus, advance warning, end result, prior history, or personal belongings. And avoid cliches like the plague. Just kidding. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live.
There's going to be no food by February.
Oh, that seems a little extreme. I find that hard to believe.
Well, watch it happen. Hope you find Christ.
Oh, good luck, buddy. Thanks.
What really turned me away from religion was the fact that most of them are so intolerant and nasty.
What do you mean?
Your life will suck unless you find Jesus. Well, I had Jesus a long time ago, and he didn't really do anything for me, so I got away from that.
Right, and I can tell you that if you want to have that attitude with people, like, well, you better find Christ, or you're going to burn in hell.
Yeah.
Then
Good luck converting people.
Yeah, I really want to hang out with people like you, there, Keith. I really want to hang out with people like you. So I'm sorry to those good Christians out there listening that aren't like Keith, but it's the loudmouths like Keith that do real damage to your religion and how people feel about it.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the program. It is Free Talk Live. The telephone number, if you'd like to join the conversation, is 202-380-3699. Again, 202-380-3699. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
it's hard to believe that Bitcoin has only existed for a decade. That decade has seen some remarkable developments for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Already, Bitcoin has proven to be an invaluable tool that is changing the world. Chances are you've heard about Bitcoin, and maybe you've decided that it's finally time to learn about it. Bitcoin.com has everything you need for that, including some very short videos that will only take a few minutes of your time to teach you the basics so that you can get involved with this groundbreaking technology. But even if you already know about Bitcoin, there's still something for you at Bitcoin.com. Stay up to date on all the news that's relevant to you at news.bitcoin.com. There's something for everyone, from the novice to the expert, at Bitcoin.com. It's all on a very sleek, easy-to-use, modern website. Check it out, Bitcoin.com. And it's a bit ironic that I read this particular advertisement for Bitcoin.com, because we mentioned in the previous segment that we were talking about these politicians who apparently drink on the job excessively and then only receive a warning instead of getting fired. But the caller, Tom from New Hampshire, had told us a story about something that happened with some cow manure. And I just happen to have this headline from cityam.com. Businessman from Barrie invents crypto mining machine that can run on cow poo.
Ew.
Nice.
So, Mr. Musk, you were looking for a green alternative energy powered cryptocurrency. How about a brown alternative powered cryptocurrency?
This is definitely the next person who brings up the electric thing and, the environment when it comes to cryptocurrency. This is what they're getting in their face.
Cow poo.
Cow poo and this story.
Yeah, cow patty.
Yeah, if you want an environmentally friendly way to resolve the electricity issue, you can start mining with cow poo.
It apparently is true. Now, when I first pulled this article up, some folks were saying things like, is this a real website? And no, it is. It's a Scottish website. And there have been a couple other articles published about this. This is actually from June 9th. I've been sitting on this one for some time.
I was wondering where Barrie is. It's in Scotland?
Scotland, where they talk like Sean Connery. An Englishman with a Scottish accent. No, he's actually Scottish, I believe. But he played a Russian man in a submarine, and that was his most famous film, apparently. Did you know they hired originally Russian extras around him in the submarine in The Hunt for Red October, and then they thought that Sean Connery stood out like a sore thumb audio-wise because he speaks in a Scottish accent, and everybody else was speaking in a Russian accent, right? And so it was a little bit different.
They couldn't just make him do a better accent?
No, what they did instead was they fired all the Russian-sounding guys, and they hired a bunch of Scottish-sounding guys so that they could make Sean Connery sound more Russian.
That's funny.
Never seen that movie.
The Hunt for Red October. Yes, well, your mother saw it. At any rate, this from cityam.com.
So true.
Elon Musk's eco worries over cryptocurrency mining may have been solved by an entrepreneur from Bury, B-U-R-Y, who has invented a crypto mining machine that can be powered by cow poo. Josh Riddett, R-I-D-D-E-T-T, a 30-year-old who developed a fascination with Bitcoin as a business student at Lancaster University, has invented a mining machine aimed at helping farmers tap into their on-site renewable energy.
Sounds like it's not the only thing he's got an interest in.
Tapped into.
Probably has such a smart inventor's mind because he's so open-minded from all the shrooms he gets off his cow patties.
Yippee-yi-yi, cow patty. Sorry, I keep saying that because that's a song that I remember from Dr. Demento. It's called Cow Patty, and it's about this girl named Patty, and her dad dies some way, and instead of riding a horse, she rides a cow, and it's a tale of how she gets vengeance upon whoever killed her daddy. So, at any rate,
okay,
go look that up if you want to. Cow Patty, Dr. Demento. You'll enjoy the song. It's funny. At any rate, since Elon Musk sent the price of Bitcoin crashing with his mischievous now that's not a factual statement, but with his mischievous tweets and newfound love for environmental issues, inquiries for Josh's 18,000-pound units have surged. His company, Easy Crypto Hunter, that's the name of his company apparently, has taken 5 million pounds in global sales orders already.
Wait, what?
I'm actually just going to open this because I didn't get to look at this link. Easy Crypto Hunter Mining Services.
I mean, this sounds like somebody's...
The UK's leading team for cryptocurrency mining.
This sounds like a scam.
They don't mine
That's what it sounds like now.
Et cetera and so on. It's got some annoying pop-ups that I don't like, so I'm going to not look at the website anymore. Bitcoin mining often comes at the expense of using huge amounts of electricity, something Elon Musk expressed grave concerns about as he announced Tesla would no longer be accepting the flagship cryptocurrency as payment, despite gleefully announcing it would only days earlier. And he's also gone back on that now, going, well, I guess we'll take it again.
He talked to the crypto miners. He had a conversation with the crypto miners.
All of them?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, he didn't talk to me. I do a bit of mining from time to time of crypto.
It was just, that's how Matt was saying that he phrased it. Like he talked to the crypto miners and
was it the crypto miners? Like making a subset of crypto miners that are the crypto miners, not all the crypto miners, just the ones. Like they're more important than others. Somehow.
I'll have to look up the exact.
It's all right. It's not important at all. Cryptocurrency markets rocketed at the first announcement with Bitcoin hitting the all-time high above $62,000 US. However, the U-turn and subsequent meme-added tweets that followed were enough to cause a serious dip that saw Bitcoin's value halve and strip back the price of all major coins. They're attributing far too much to Mr. Musk and his tweets. In my opinion, there were several market factors influencing cryptocurrency at the time.
Yeah, I remember a month before the huge drop, maybe 2 months, I saw an article that said Bitcoin is expected to sit around 60,000 for a while and then drop. And I was like, that's kind of scary. Like, do you think that they're just saying that to my friend, our neighbor? And he was just like, no, a lot of people have been projecting that from I don't know, something about charts.
I mean, this is not unusual for the crypto to go sky high and then it's going to drop by half.
I mean,
and then stabilize and then
just a correction.
Jump up again and then drop by half. And it's still an upwardly direction over time, but like in the short run, it can fluctuate.
Yeah, I'm not the crypto whisperer or anything. I'm not the market guru. But to say that was all a result of Musk tweeting is giving that man's ego far too much credit.
Yeah, there was a combination of Musk probably and
I'm not saying
Chinese.
I'm not saying it didn't affect it at all.
Right.
But
the Chinese government and the way the papers reported on it like twice,
right,
was probably more likely to have And here's the thing: it was anticipatable that it was going to fall anyway.
Yep.
So it wasn't really the Chinese government or Musk or both of them totally. It was just what set it off.
And if you look back seasonally at Bitcoin pricing, you'll notice that it generally kind of goes down a bit in the summertime and comes up a bit in the wintertime.
Yep.
So it's not an unusual maneuver or an unusual behavior, I should say.
Any stretch of the imagination.
At any rate, the carbon footprint issue has proven to be one of cryptocurrency's biggest stumbling blocks. I don't like this right already. Since its invention more than a decade ago. Oh, yeah? Do the math on, Mr. Writer here, do the math on how much it costs your government to produce and maintain its fiat currency, including all of the bureaucrats involved and their pay and how much you spend on gas for their cars, and their houses and their salary, et cetera, and so on.
There's no physical banks for Bitcoin. Like, there's 1 million banks in every town. How much energy is that taking?
Have you ever tried to do a wire transfer before? I can tell you it's a lot easier with crypto than it is to do a wire transfer.
Since Musk's mocking tweets threw a spotlight on the issue, boffins have been hell-bent on trying to find a solution, and while many believe Elon Musk is already secretly cooking up a green scheme of his own, the answer may already be available in the form of a mining rig capable of running on cow dung. 202-380-3699. Is this a crappy situation for Bitcoin? More coming up. Hour number 2 on the way.
A newly recruited search and rescue officer, Marshall Hunter was resigned to a life of rescuing wayward spacefarers and derelict satellites. But when a billionaire couple goes missing, his own ship is disabled during the rescue. With communication satellites suddenly failing and lunar mineral shipments disappearing in transit, the crew suspects it's more than a coincidence, and Hunter must choose between salvation and sacrifice to save his crewmates and their civilian charges. Frontier by Patrick Childs and BingBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Another milestone in the fight against COVID-19. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Biden says 300 million COVID vaccines have been given out in the 150 days since he's been in office. The president saying it didn't happen by chance.
With the ingenuity of American scientists, the full capacity of American companies, and the whole of government response across federal, state, tribal, and local governments Together, we built an unparalleled vaccination program and managed one of the biggest and most complicated logistical challenges in American history.
The president says he hopes to have 70% of Americans with at least one shot by the 4th of July. He urged people who haven't yet gotten a vaccine to do so because he says variants of COVID are still spreading. A judge in Johnson County, Kansas, the state's most populous county, has ruled he doesn't think the federal moratorium on evictions the CDC put in place during the pandemic is enforceable. The moratorium has kept more than 4 million people nationally from losing their home during the pandemic. The state had its own eviction moratorium, but it expired May 28th. Police in the Metro Phoenix area say a suspect acted alone in a series of shootings from a vehicle yesterday that happened in 3 cities.
Investigators say they still have no idea what the suspect was thinking or what the motive was, but police are retracing what happened at the 8 different shooting scenes that spanned 3 different cities just west of Phoenix. We know 4 people in total were shot, one of whom died. Authorities say the other 9 victims had injuries stemming from things like broken glass or injuries that would be associated with car crashes.
Fox's Jeff Paul in West Valley, Arizona. A man from Northwest Missouri has admitted he threatened 2 U.S. congressmen. Prosecutors say Kenneth Hubert called Congressman Emanuel Cleaver the day after the Capitol riot and Congressman Steve Cohen in May 2019, threatening both men with nooses. America is listening to Fox News.
School's out for summer, but if your business is running QuickBooks, you'll never get a break. NetSuite by Oracle is the #1 cloud financial system, no matter how big your business grows. With visibility and control of your financials, inventory, HR, e-commerce, and more, NetSuite is everything you need to grow all in one place. NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind financing program to those ready to graduate.
Head to netsuite.com/Fox right now. netsuite.com/Fox.
A U.S. Army soldier accused of killing his wife has entered a plea in military court.
Specialist Raul Hernandez Perez has pleaded not guilty in military court to first-degree premeditated murder in the January death of his wife, Selena Roth. Hernandez Perez, who is 23, is assigned to the 500th Military Intelligence Brigade based in Hawaii. Prosecutors say he and Roth were divorcing and that he wanted to reunite with his high school sweetheart in Florida. They say he took out $100,000 in life insurance on Roth in December. A month later, they say he Googled how many times it would take to kill someone with a bat, then beat and stabbed her to death. Hernandez Perez has also pleaded not guilty to disobeying a non-commissioned officer's order that he have no contact with Roth. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
Customs and Border Patrol have stopped 2 vehicles in recent days packed with migrants trying to cross the border into the U.S.
They pulled over a U-Haul truck full of 27 migrants crammed on top of each other. We're told it was 106 degrees inside the cabin of that U-Haul. All those migrants from Mexico, Guatemala, and Honduras, they were all arrested, as was the driver who's going to be charged for human smuggling. Another U-Haul truck, this one had 33 migrants crammed inside of it. Horrible conditions, 100 degrees out there. Border Patrol reports some of those guys were on the verge of death when they found them. 12 had to be hospitalized. The driver there arrested as well.
Fox's Bill Maluchin in La Jolla, Texas. The UN Refugee Agency says war, violence, persecution, and human rights violations caused...
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
The push to legalize marijuana is gaining momentum. These prescription doobies will do a whole lot more than just give patients a case of the munchies. Proponents are piping up to say that medical marijuana can help patients with some of the chronic illnesses that have been majorly killing their buzz. Unfortunately, 36 U.S. states are still not a kind bud of the legalization argument. But in states that do have the plan, the results have been, well, pretty far out, man. Patients nationwide are bluntly asking state legislatures to finally mellow out so that they and their doctors can work jointly to stop the suffering that's making a hash of their lives.
So it's clearly an issue that means a lot to these patients.
So states shouldn't toke their time with this policy. We'd be upset if patients had to wait a long time.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Kicking off hour number 2. Get it? Number 2? That's right. Free Talk Live. We're talking about this article from City AM about a Scottish man, who apparently has invented a crypto miner capable of running on cow poo. So we'll talk more about that. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
And the telephone number, if you'd like to join in the conversation tonight, is 202. There's 2 2s in the number, or in number 2. Yeah, you get it. 202-380-3699. 202-380-3699 is the number. So this guy in Scotland, apparently, in the wake of Elon Musk's tweets about cryptocurrency and the supposed effects that he may or may not have had on the market, he's seen over 5 million pounds in orders already, as of June 9th anyway. The device apparently measures a mere 70 centimeters by 35 centimeters by 40 centimeters. Josh Radette's machines are designed to mine other digital currencies like Ravencoin and Ethereum and use less energy. The firm's mining rigs have so far averaged approximately $30,000 each, that's in pounds, in annual profits over a 3-year period, with the bulk of these gains made in 2021 as digital currencies won institutional acceptance. So he's doing well with these particular miners.
So these actually will mine and you'll actually make money off them?
According to this article.
I wonder how efficient these machines are compared to I
wonder if he ships internationally.
Yeah, right?
Gross.
Josh, I just shipped my pants.
Wow.
Josh, who was among delegates in an EU summit on crypto last year, says the company has been experiencing huge growth in sales among the UK's agricultural community as farmers tap in to on-site renewable energy. One green site hosts 40 mining computers, which run 24/7. The site is powered using anaerobic digestion, AD machines, which turn animal waste into renewable energy. Now, this isn't the first time I've heard of using waste as a form of energy. I'll give you an example. When I was looking into off-grid technology and innovation, one of the things that is deployed is people will have a compost bin, right? And this is just a big area. It's usually fenced in. You toss all your food scraps and that kind of a thing. Some people go to extremes and they'll, if they've got a composting toilet, they'll toss their human waste in there too. You got to be careful with animals get in there and disease and, all that stuff.
And lighters and
yeah. Well, and also it can become flammable.
Right.
And explode. So it's not a joking matter.
Careful with your matches.
Even though I joke about this and will joke again, I'm sure, and, give me 5 minutes or so. But at any rate, so once you have this compost pile and it gets to a certain, we'll say, size, what you can do is you can run a copper coil underneath it before you start the compost pile and attach some tubes and a little small pump, like a fish tank water pump to it. And what you do is you run this water to your underfloor heating They make these underfloor heating things that are essentially just tubes that fill with hot water, right? And so what you're doing is you're just taking cold water from the tap, you're pumping it into underneath your compost pile, which generates an immense amount of heat. You're heating that water, and then you're pumping that water back into the house, right, to heat your flooring, which then in turn heats the house. So now you've heated your house with your own waste products.
Wow.
That'd be cool if you weren't using poop. I would refuse to use poop.
Yeah, this is just gross, and I don't even.
Some,
I get
some
that
people only compost like leftover foodstuffs and that kind of thing. So
that would be fine.
So yeah, I'm not
cool.
saying you have to. I'm just saying that this is not the first time I've heard of people using waste for a technological purpose or to power something or fuel something.
An outhouse that you put on top of a waste pile that you then
No, on farms they usually have an area set aside for composting,
right?
And usually what you do is you throw away like your banana peels or the bones of stuff and whatever into the compost pile, and then in the springtime you take that compost and you spread it out over your garden because it is a very nutrient rich thing that it becomes, and then that's how you grow better plants and better food in your gardens and all that kind of stuff. So
my parents do that, but I would have never thought you could add human poop. I would have thought that would make it poisonous or something.
Well, I mean, you
think
can
it does,
add
doesn't it?
animal,
Oh yeah, manure.
Yeah, but
manure.
Isn't it like the drugs or something that people take that causes the problem or something, which animals don't
Wow.
take or something?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
That'd be
enough
crazy.
about it, but
I don't know
I do know that
enough about it, but I do know like hiking kind of stuff, and like they tell you when you do hiking and you're in the middle of nowhere not to hike or not to go number 2 near the river or the water source.
Right. You can.
Whereas obviously animals are doing that.
You can
so.
dig a pit and privy, right? If you're sort of off gridding it, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of we'll call them green RV people, folks who take vacations, but they want the solar power on their RV, and they want a toilet that's not going to have a bunch of chemicals have to be added to it to visit the dump site. They'll use what's called a composting toilet, and so these things exist, and they recycle or otherwise reuse. There's a book actually that I think this explains the concept that I'm trying to get across much better. It's called Humanure, and it is it's a good book. It's a short book, and it explains like the practical how-to-ness of how somebody figured out a couple of different ways to gain something out of what most people consider waste, right?
I'm sure
if you can heat your house in the winter because you've created this, this pile of waste, well, why wouldn't you? It's free heat.
I think that there's probably people out there who would be like, if you were starving and the only way to eat was to use your own poop to grow food, you would do it. No, I would die because I don't want to live on that planet if that's the only way to eat.
Well, I mean, there is already manure in a large amount of farming. So whether it's human waste or animal waste, it's already there. You've already been eating it all of your life.
Yeah, I have to say, I just don't want to think about it.
Well, the human part is what's disgusting because, I don't know,
why is the human part disgusting versus the animal not?
Because you already kind of know that dirt is made of poop. Like earthworms poop turns into dirt. Dirt is earthworm poop.
Dirt is earthworm. Well, I mean, dirt is kind of the decomposition of all things, of all life.
Yeah, but
some of it is excrement. But
well, yeah, of course it is. Absolutely, it is.
It's gross.
Well, I'm not saying it's not gross.
Plus, if it was like my own poop in my household family's poop, it would just be even worse.
Can we move on to a new story?
Are we allowed to talk about this on the radio? I thought we weren't.
No, we can. We just can't talk about the actual
action
of where it comes from and that kind of a thing.
Okay.
So we're talking about science here.
Yeah.
Right? This is science. So anyway, this guy's crypto miners. One Greek site hosts 40 mining computers. We talked about that. Farmers with renewable energy sources like solar, hydro, wind, or anaerobic digestion can sell their power to the national grid for around 4 to 7 pence per kilowatt hour. But they can earn up to 10 times that running a crypto mining machine instead. Years ago, farmers were encouraged to develop green energy solutions, which is one of the reasons why we've seen solar panels appear in fields over the last 10 years. and these schemes came with good financial incentives, Josh explained. More recently, those incentives have dwindled to virtually zero, but our machines are now providing those lost incentives. Josh is also keen to dispel the stereotype image of farmers perhaps not being tech-savvy or tuned into DeFi solutions. Farming is getting much harder, and that is something which will often drive a farmer to diversify in order to earn a good living, he added. And, I mean, really, mining is kind of farming. You know, at least it's relatable.
He sounds like a pretty cool farmer, and he's only 30, and he's like way ahead of his time.
Indeed he is. 202-380-3699. Would you mine cryptocurrency fueled by cow poop?
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
The Terran Federation and the Terran League have been killing each other for decades. Sheltered, wealthy, and light years from the threat, the members of the 500 have no interest in changing that. When Rear Admiral Terrence Murphy is given governorship of a backwater system, a risk-free path to wealth and power is his for the taking. But Murphy is a man of honor, duty, and responsibility. He intends to stop the killing, whatever the cost. Governor, by David Weber and Richard Fox, from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Welcome back to Free Talk Live, the Friday night edition. The telephone number in the studio is 202-380-3699, 202-380-3699. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
We've been talking about this article from, sorry, I forget where it's from, cityam.com, where a Scottish farmer has apparently developed some crypto miners that run on cow poo. That's right, cow dung, powering your cryptocurrency miners. And we'll continue to talk about that. But first, I wanted to tell you about, you may have heard already, but the Crypto 6. The Crypto 6 are preparing to take on the state after the events of March 16th. With a prospective trial date of May 2022, we're preparing our defense of liberty and financial freedom against attempts by the state to take control of cryptocurrency by setting up the likes of Coinbase, Gemini, and Kraken as the gatekeepers of cryptocurrency. That can't be allowed to happen. We must keep cryptocurrency away from the control of the federal government. It is the only way to keep them from continuing to drop bombs without consequence around the world, wreaking unbelievable devastation and destruction upon innocent human beings. Stand with us in our fight to put an end to war. Visit thecrypto6.com to learn about how you can join the fight to defund the war machine. We aren't backing down. Are you going to stand with us? Thecrypto6.com. So this Scottish guy invented these machines that apparently mine different cryptocurrencies, and we'll talk more about that. But first, let's go to your calls and thoughts. We have Jet calling from Planet Earth. Jet, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I'm one of those places. So I heard you talk about slavery earlier and how everyone is a slave of some sort.
It appears to me, anyway, that that's true as long as you live under the rule of a, quote, government, unquote, or a bunch of people, a group of people calling themselves government. It seems to me.
That's what I want to talk to you about, because that, speaking of just an aside, the tax freedom day is in June now. But anyway,
it's moved to summer, right? Of course, because they're taxing more and more every year.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind you that there really is no such thing as government. Did you know that? There's a guy that calls in every so often. He's really a smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
He keeps saying that over and over again. I don't know what his problem is, but he's right. There is no such. It's a paradigm. It's just a way of thinking about things, and that's where you have to change things. Because what I see and where I've come to in my life is just seeing people as just other humans, but those who have put on guns and other affectations to be able to lord over you and intimidate you and hurt you if necessary, so that you'll also believe in their little fantasy world.
I agree. And I also, not only do I agree, but I would also apply that same level of thinking, me personally, to religion, that these are just human constructs. These are beliefs that only exist within the mind of the animals called human beings on planet Earth.
Well, we can talk about that another time, because, as you know, I'm a dedicated follower of Christ.
Interesting.
But, these people have no more right to do anything than anybody else. This is one of the main things I want to be able to get across. They actually suffer from what I call a mental illness, a character and behavior disorder of sociopathic megalomania. We've talked about that before. But here's how I can prove that and show you. that 10 years ago, there were mostly different people in all of these different positions they call themselves and titles, whether president, governor, processor, judge,
mayor, whatever. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, but they're all different people now. So what they've done is they've taken up this same mindset, whether they had it thinking, before that, or whether they engaged it on the job. They've taken up this mental illness, this mindset that somehow they now get to lord over you. It's kind of like when I was in the military. You'd go in the first case and you don't have any stripes on your sleeve. So anybody who does have even one single stripe thinks that they get to just boss you around and tell you what to do and make you do all kinds of things. It's just wild. But anyway, so here's the deal. You got to stop playing their game. You have to eliminate their titles and their wording and their terminology from your life. This is how you can get beyond that.
Well,
let's see what
I do agree with you, Jet, on the premise. However, what we're trying to do here on Free Talk Live, of course, is reach more people with the ideas of liberty and the philosophies associated with peace and prosperity. And so to reach these common folks, we have to use the common language in order to relate to them in a way that they will find interesting. If we eliminate...
Here's the problem with that. The problem with that is every time you use one of these titles or concepts, you legitimize it. I mean, people, as you know, they've been indoctrinated year after year after year.
Oh, yeah.
And I've said this before how many times, when you use the word government, to most people, it means necessary and good. So when you speak against, yes, necessary and good, you're not getting through. You're just kind of bouncing off the wall. So I just want to stop you to just try as much as you can. Do it incremental if you can.
The people that think that the government is good are kind of the people that are too far gone. Me and Chris yesterday were screaming at a group of Republicans, "You guys are the socialists. We're not." They were calling him a socialist, and I was saying, "You guys are the socialists. You guys are the ones trying to force us to pay for your." It was a it was a pro-police.
It was pretty funny.
They were pro-police, obviously, and we were anti-police. And we were trying to explain to them, you guys are literally the socialists. You're trying to force us to pay for a security system for you guys that we don't want to pay for. And they could not understand that. They were like, haha, we're not socialists. We're Republicans. Those people are too far gone.
I mean, they want, and it wasn't so much that like we were against security. It's that we should each pay for our own security, right? And when you take a system, when you take something and you make everybody else pay for it, that's socializing it, right? I understand. It doesn't matter whether it's police forces or government schools or it doesn't really matter what it is. Anything the government does is some form of socialization.
Hey, thanks for the call tonight, Jet. We appreciate it.
I get what he's trying to say, but...
Yeah, no, and I agree with him. He is correct. However, it is insanely difficult when you are trying to reach other people about the philosophies of freedom. I will try to do better, Jet.
We call them government thugs and stuff like that a lot, too. It's just kind of vernacular speaking.
More Free Talk Live is on the way.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Björgen, Schmergen, Durgen, Flurgen, Blurgen, Mergen, Sturgen. Am I the Swedish chef? What's going on?
Are you making fun of me because I was eating spaghetti and meatballs?
Maybe I am, actually.
Wait, no, I'm just realizing that's like Italian, not Swedish.
Well, Swedish do make meatballs, though. Swedish meatballs are a popular delicacy, so...
I didn't actually eat the meatballs. I picked them out.
What?
I was eating just regular spaghetti with no meatballs.
So just pasta and sauce.
Yeah.
Do you eat Helper?
No, I don't eat hamburger Helper.
No.
Oh.
Just Helper.
Ew, no.
Without the hamburger. You just make
gross.
the box of hamburger Helper, but don't put any meat in it. That's just Helper.
I ate so much hamburger Helper as a kid. My parents were just like, we're going to buy 7 different hamburger Helpers, and that's what we'll eat every night.
Yes. Did you also get to enjoy... I use that term sarcastically. Cans of Dinty Moore beef stew.
No.
Oh, it's horrible.
Ew.
It is horrible. It's good survival food because why those cans are probably still not being eaten. I don't know who buys them, but somebody buys them. It's horrible beef stew, and you should buy some, put it in your basement for the apocalypse. But other than that, don't eat it.
I've eaten stuff out of MRIs.
MREs?
MREs, yeah.
MREs, yeah, not mechanical resonance imaging, but meals ready to eat.
Yes, meals ready to eat. Yes. There we go.
I never understood why people buy like the garbage that you would not want to eat. You know, like if you're gonna stock up on food, you know, for the end of the world, I would stock up on stuff I want to actually eat, you know? and then if the world doesn't end, you can still eat it, right? But if it's something that you would never eat, even at the end of the world, why would you buy it?
You know, for trade.
And it's just like a lot of stuff has to stay for a long time. A lot of stuff that has to stay for a long time just kind of sucks.
Look, the people who do prepare for disasters, right? They've been stereotyped as preppers, right? There's television reality shows about preppers, prep this and prep that, and they always make them out to be these like goofball conspiracy theorist types, and some of them are. But it's also a very smart thing to do. Now, my grandparents were out of the Depression era, and so all they did was what we consider today as prepping. They gardened their own food, they canned stuff, they kept it for the winter, they gave it away as gifts. They prepared for things to go awry and things to go wrong. They would hunt their own food, they would preserve their own food, their own meats and stuff. They'd make their own jerky, etc., and so on. They'd make their own sausages, all this kind of a thing. And so that was just what was called living to them. Now people make fun of that.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be for the end of the world to come. We just saw snow shut down Texas in 2021.
Right. You know what's funny is I actually had a neighbor of mine laugh at us because we have a generator that we were running outside for like 2 minutes just to run it, to make sure
you got to
was
start it up
running.
and once a year, whatever it is, you got to make sure your stuff's running.
The government will always provide us electricity.
I
Silly.
just thought it was so funny that somehow I'm a hicker. I forget exactly what she said, but it was something like,
oh yeah, you're a redneck or something,
I'm a redneck
right? Yeah.
because I have a generator.
Chris, the redneck.
I know, right? Like, and it's funny because like every like group of rich people have like, they have the big fancy house. They always have a generator.
Yep.
It's like, but somehow this stereotype, because my house isn't big enough, it's like I'm a hick. It's just funny.
Yeah, just wait until the next.
I don't even have that small of a house. Like,
no, that's true.
It's because underneath your house is a whole other house.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, just wait until the next, devastating hurricane or earthquake or volcano or flood or something along those lines happens to an area of people who are not prepared to weather that kind of a storm, much less, some sort of a collapse of the dollar or something like that, right? That these preppers often get stereotyped as, right? When that happens, you frequently see people unprepared for any type of disaster or emergency. I contend that it is just smart to be prepared for these types of things, whether it's an earthquake, a volcano, a flood, or some sort of insurrection. It's smart to be prepared.
I tend to agree. I think there's a certain amount of preparation that makes sense, and it doesn't really matter whether we're talking about finances or, food security or electric generation. Like there's a certain amount that makes sense. And then there's like overboard, right?
Everybody's got to have a hobby.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. And those who can't do, teach. Or wait, no, I'm taking that in the wrong direction.
Even if all of those things, a disaster happened, I'm still not going to be prepping with Hamburger Helper.
You wouldn't eat Helper in a post-apocalypse, wasteland?
No, like I said about using human poop to grow food, I don't want to live on that planet, so I'll just die.
You'd rather starve than eat Helper?
I hate Hamburger Helper. So gross.
All right, we've been talking about these crypto miners that are powered by cow dung, for lack of a better description. And just to sort of finish off this article from City AM, to pinch it off, if you will, there's a lot of diversification going on in farming these days. And while the average age of our agricultural customer is 58, the vast majority of farmers now can talk about technology with the same confidence they talk about cows and pigs. The young businessman's interest in cryptocurrency mining developed from ideas that were spawned while he was president of the Entrepreneur Society at Lancaster University. I've always been business-minded, but I am not a tech nerd, he said. I own the business, but I couldn't even write a single line of code. I just had months and months of studying the market to learn about cryptocurrency and blockchain while having lots of late nights watching YouTube videos about it. And that is how this guy Josh invented the cow dung powered cryptocurrency miner, which apparently is called, I will tell you what it's called again because it was interesting to me, Easy Crypto Hunter. There is a website, but when I went to it, there was, well, some pop-ups. It is a UK website, so perhaps if you have some pop-up blockers and that type of thing installed, you may enjoy that, or just search articles about him.
What's cool about him saying that he just read articles and watched YouTube videos to be able to get into this with no prior knowledge is that could never happen. And, you couldn't start a bank that way. That would never happen with fiat currency.
Right. And the fact is, cryptocurrency has or will have all of the abilities and features that your local bank has. Right, everybody banks somewhere, whether it's a Chase Bank or a Bank of America or something along those lines, or it's like a local credit union. These places provide financial services for you at a price. Of course, you have to pay for certain things. Many of them will have like a free checking account, and then you have to pay for other things, like if you want a cashier's check, that's not free. You have to pay for that, et cetera, and so on. A cryptocurrency has the ability to not only have all of the features of any bank, but to have them in an app that fits on your magic rectangle.
Put all the power to do all those things in the actual person holding the crypto's own hands.
Now imagine
the people.
Instead of, we're in Keene, a town of about 25,000, a little less than 25,000 people. Imagine if they all banked at the same place. Now, don't imagine that. Imagine every one of those 25,000 people having their own bank in their pocket. That's the difference between cryptocurrency and what is currently going on with the United States dollar and all the other government-sponsored fiat currencies.
And don't you hate having to deal with your bank? Like having to call USAA is the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
I hate the banking industry. It's terrible. Yeah. They're all crooks.
Yeah, it's horrible, and
they should be paying me to hold my money, not me paying them, and yet that's somehow they managed to extract more money out of you.
It, of course, is all entirely regulated by the federal government.
It is, which
makes it
drives up the costs.
Yeah, and makes it horrible entities to deal with because of all of the hoops that they need to jump through for compliance.
Right.
According to the regulations. If government would just get out of the way, banks could actually provide goods and services and customer service that was worth a damn. But, we're not there yet, apparently. It's 202-380-3699 is the telephone number if you'd like to join us. Are you tired of banks and the banking industry? Let us know. This is Free Talk Live. On March 16th of this year, a joint government task force raided the New Hampshire Bitcoin Embassy, the Mighty Moose Mart, the homes of Aria DiMezzo, Andy and Renee Spinella, Colleen Fordham, a grandmother, and perhaps most relevant, the studios of Free Talk Live. The Crypto Six were arrested, most were released, but Rich Paul, also known as Nobody, and Ian Freeman both remain in custody. We've been in contact with attorneys that say no crime even appears to have been committed, but that didn't stop the Joint Thug Task Force from ripping out wires from the back of our broadcast stacks, taking Free Talk Live off the air, violating our and your First Amendment rights. You can go to thecrypto6.com and donate to fight against these charges. But as importantly, contact media and tell them about this outrage. This case is likely to set precedent for the use of cryptocurrency well into the future. Help our fight for liberty and financial freedom at thecrypto6.com.
Breaking weather news. Belize is sunny and around 82 degrees every day this week.
What's the forecast for your life? If current politics and economic prospects are cramping your freedom, escape to the tropics. ECI Development has affordable second homes for you to own or rent in Belize and other tropical countries. Places with stable governments and growing economies. Secure your freedom now. To find out more, send an email to ftl@ecidevelopment.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
After a devastating war, the alien visitors were driven back, and their willing human collaborators were left behind to face the music. When Emma Jean Anderson's ex-lover springs her from prison, Nathan Foster and his 14-year-old nephew Ben are tasked with bringing the pair to justice. An easy enough job until they discover something is inside Emma Jean, and the fate of the planet hangs in the balance. The Family Business by Mike Coopery from BaneBooks.com. Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. It is the Friday night edition. The telephone number here in the studio is 202-380-3699. Again, 202-380-3699. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
So we're going to move on. Get it? Move on. From the cow dung cryptocurrency-powered miners.
From the hamburger helper talk.
And talk of helper. Did we finish talking about the drunk lawmakers? I think we did. We're well past that. We should talk about...
I have the Guantanamo Bay story.
What's going on in Guantanamo Bay?
They say that the
Wait, so first of all, for our listeners who don't know, yeah, it's still open.
Yeah.
It's still open.
Yeah, I was shocked to hear
still open.
I did not know that it was still open. I thought they announced they closed it.
Despite the last two presidents saying they would close it.
Yeah, Obama and Trump just said, oh, if I'm elected, I'll close it. But they didn't.
Yeah.
It's still open.
I thought they
still open.
Had been removing everybody from there and sending them to prisons in the United States or in mainland.
Maybe they've done that to some prisoners, but there's still prisoners there.
But it's still open, huh?
Maybe it's the cow dung article, but I thought you said like Bat Guano Bay.
No. Yo.
Do you have it?
Yes.
Would you like to do the thing? Because since we've been harping on the fact that it is still open, Guantanamo Bay is still open, everybody. If you didn't know, Guantanamo Bay, still open.
Okay, so this article from Vice News says Guantanamo Bay detainees say conditions are worse since Biden became president.
No.
couldn't possibly occur. How can the conditions get worse? They were housed in like cages, like literal cages outside.
Yep. I've heard awful things about it. President Joe Biden has said he plans to close Guantanamo Bay, the infamous military prison in Cuba, by the end of his term. But in the months since Biden took office, detainees there say conditions have deteriorated. Imagine being in Guantanamo Bay and saying, oh my gosh, in the last 6 months, the conditions have deteriorated.
I really dislike when the Organization of Violence and Force says things like, well, we plan to do this. Well, I plan to have a harem of topless ladies peeling grapes for me, but that doesn't mean that it's actually going to happen.
Yeah, it's like, waving something in front of somebody's face. It's they're, we're considering pardoning Snowden or whoever it was last year. We're considering it, and then they don't.
Right. Yeah. Or it's when they talk about reform, like, okay, so what you're saying is when you have a program implemented by a government and it fails, then the politicians will go on record as saying like, oh, well, we need to reform this particular program. No, what you need to do is cancel that program because it failed. You don't need to reform it so it can continue to fail even like more enthusiastically than it failed the first frickin' time.
In new ways.
Sorry, I digress. Your article, go on.
No, I was annoyed by that sentence too. Says new cruelties like forbidding guards to talk to prisoners, denying medicine, and restricting services have recently been imposed, detainees and their advocates tell Vice News.
These guys are like stripped of their clothes. They've got nothing. They're in a cage. How much worse could you make it?
And you know what makes it worse than just that? A lot of them are awaiting trial. A lot of them are not guilty of anything.
Right.
Found guilty of anything.
Are they even planning to try them?
I don't know.
Well, that's
as long as they've been caged, I have a hard time believing that there's going to be a
near
trial.
as I can tell, the folks in Guantanamo Bay are, under such conditions where their rights have no meaning at all.
Yeah, didn't they argue that they didn't have any rights because they weren't like arrested on U.S. soil or something?
That's the whole point of Guantanamo Bay.
Your government is doing this to people, and there are still kids in cages too, and you vote for these people.
Agreed.
Several people have protested their treatment and engaged in a hunger strike. At one point around Ramadan this year, every detainee in Camp 6, one of the prison blocks, participated in a unanimous hunger strike. How can it be that we are waiting for Biden to come and it has become so much worse than when Trump was president? Abdul Latif Nasir, a 19-year detainee.
19 years.
At the prison without trial, told Vice News through his lawyers at Reprieve US, an international human rights organization that represents 6 detainees at Guantanamo.
Yeah, these people don't have rights. The whole idea of that particular prison is torture and, indefinite detention without representation, stripped of regular human rights, much less any sort of code for prisoner treatment. The Geneva Convention doesn't apply, et cetera, and so on.
That's what they're claiming. It doesn't apply, and they treat them like it doesn't apply. Prisoners of war get treated better than these guys because they're excluded from those rights. They're excluded from your normal rights as an American on American soil. You don't have any rights on foreign soil because they're in this quasi Cuban land that's leased from Cuba by the United States. But if they're on leased land, you would think that they would have rights under U.S. law.
If you support the government in any way, and I mean, if you think, oh, well, there should be a military. Oh, well, we should at least have a police force. Or if you think, oh, well, we should have social programs. You're supporting these people's human rights being taken away by the U.S. government. And that's why I can't agree with Mark when he says, like, oh, you're lucky to be living in the United States instead of China. China's so much worse. I mean, like, there's no comparing this type of evil.
Yeah, that's what I call the grass is always greener. Right. Except instead of it always being greener on the other side, it's greener now on this side. And that's it's a common thing for people to believe that they have it better because it's the devil it's the devil you're familiar with, and so if you're familiar with it and you know it, you think that makes it better when it likely does not. It's entirely possible that it doesn't make it better at all. And I can't believe, I have to, but of all the folks who have said we're going to close this, right, and it's still open. I'm going to harp on that. It's still open. It shouldn't be open in any way, shape, or form, but it is still open, and apparently getting worse, according to this.
Yeah, if the war is over, release them. If they're not, if they're not soldiers, then charge them with something.
They're keeping
give them a trial.
They're keeping even U.S. people there, I'm told. I don't have a reliable source for that.
I thought the U.S. person was transferred back to the United States.
Let's hope so. I know that I also read, and I will get back to Bonnie's article in just a second. I also read that Mr. Biden's new hiring of more folks in things like the IRS, for example, he's expanding, are going to directly target folks with anti-government sentiment. And so
us?
Yeah.
They're going to target us?
Libertarians.
They're already targeting us.
I wasn't even thinking of libertarians. I was just thinking of the citizenry.
Yeah. Of course. Yes, of course. That's what happens when empires attempt to outgrow themselves, which is exactly what the United States is doing. It is an empire now. If you don't believe me, compare it to Rome. Open a frickin' history book and look at the fall of Rome, and then look at all the different accomplishments that they had on their way out the door. The fiat currency, the defunding of that, the fighting war spreading, around the globe, or at least around what they considered the globe at that point in space and time. There are so many parallels between the fall of not just Rome, but other empires as well, and the United States. We are on the downside of this. The United States is the empire. Joe Biden is the new emperor, to make a Star Wars analogy, right? The rest of his generals are the Darth Vaders, the Sith Lords, and the thing that empires do is that they eventually come after their own citizenry. And we're beginning to see that now.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think they probably are going to target certain individuals first.
I don't know, like somebody who is on a live talk radio program on about 200 radio stations that advocates for Bitcoin, for example.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more of this in the coming maybe couple years. Yeah. I'm guessing. This isn't even where it started, I don't think, but this is certainly where it's gotten to. Yeah. So
the government doesn't like when you tell people why they're illegitimate.
Oh, no, definitely not.
They certainly do not. 202-380-3699 is the telephone number. If you'd like to join the conversation here on Free Talk Live, we'll be having our number 3.
Yep.
Right, I already made the joke. Hour number 3 coming up. Free Talk Live.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Should you be able to earn an honest living free from senseless government interference? The Institute for Justice thinks so. That's why we've spent years defending hard-working men and women from pointless government regulations. Nationwide, IJ has created opportunity by reducing government power. But there is still more work to be done. Visit our website today at ij.org. Let IJ take care of the government so you can take care of your business.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
They will be able to set sail. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. A federal judge ruling that cruise lines can begin operating out of Florida starting next month.
In a 124-page ruling, federal judge Stephen Merriday found the CDC had overstepped with its conditional sail order, writing that the state of Florida is likely to succeed in this case on the merits. He wrote that CDC's interpretation of the Public Health Services Act would give them almost boundless authority. The CDC had issued a 4-phase plan before cruise lines could set sail, arguing that the cruise industry presented a unique challenge in that diseases can spread more quickly on ships. Governor Ron DeSantis sued in April while waiting for the CDC to announce the next phase. The judge said ships can begin to set sail July 18th, and he gave the CDC until July 2nd to propose a narrower conditional sail order. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
President Biden says 300 million COVID vaccines have been administered, and 65% of American adults have gotten at least one shot. His goal is to have 70% of Americans with at least one shot by July 4th. Negotiations continue in the Senate on an infrastructure plan, but some progressive Democrats holding firm on the president's plan with some add-ons.
Many Democrats are calling for the president's full infrastructure, energy, and care package to go forward. For example, Senator Bernie Sanders is calling for spending plans to reach potentially up to $6 trillion, and he is pushing for an expansion to Medicare, tweeting, quote, "I do not think it's too radical an idea to say that keeping teeth in your mouth should not be a luxury. Medicare must be expanded to include dental care, eyeglasses, and hearing aids."
Fox's Blake Berman at the White House. A bipartisan group of senators has pushed the idea of letting the federal gas tax rise at the rate of inflation to pay for infrastructure, but the White House says President Biden is opposed to that. That was part of an early proposal. It's not clear if it will make the final cut. America is listening to Fox News.
Question: how much time do you think it would take to go to the post office right now? Answer: doesn't matter. Join the nearly 1 million businesses using Stamps.com. Get discounts up to 40% off post office rates and now up to 66% off UPS shipping rates. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone, and enter code FOX for a 4-week trial, plus free postage and an easy-to-use digital scale. Save time, save money. Sign up at Stamps.com. Click the microphone and enter code FOX. That's Stamps.com, code FOX.
China is pushing back against a call from the Biden administration into the origins of COVID-19.
The White House is pushing for a credible investigation in China into the origins of COVID-19, but the Chinese government is blocking that effort. China is ramping up its campaign to resist an independent investigation, and instead Chinese officials are calling for an investigation into U.S. government lab. A Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman says a World Health Organization report from earlier this year should be the end of this discussion. A WHO-affiliated team partnered with the Chinese government for an examination in China into COVID-19. Officials say they were denied access.
Fox's Rich Edson at the State Department. Former Vice President Mike Pence says there are lessons to be learned from the pandemic.
We must never again be dependent on foreign nations for our essential health care supplies. And China must be held accountable for unleashing the coronavirus on the world.
Pence speaking at the Faith and Freedom Conference today in Orlando, Florida. There's talk that he is testing the waters for a possible presidential run in 2024. The head of the Environmental Protection Agency says he has fully reinstated one of 2 key advisory boards dismantled earlier this year in the push for scientific integrity at the agency. The 7-member Clean Air Scientific Advisory Committee includes 4 scientists who have
My name is Angel Rach. I'm a mother of 2 teenage children, and I fought all the way to the Supreme Court for the right to use the medicine that saved my life. I've been permanently disabled for 10 years, with an inoperable brain tumor, wasting syndrome, and several other serious conditions. For 4 years, I was in a wheelchair, in so much pain, I couldn't even hug my kids. The hardest part was looking in their eyes and seeing how much they were suffering because of my medical condition. The medicine that gave me my life back and gave my kids their mom back was cannabis, also known as medical marijuana. With medical marijuana, I can walk, maintain my weight, and I can be a mom. Without it, my doctors believe that I would die. To learn more about medical marijuana, contact Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or on the web at mpp.org.
According to a groundbreaking new study published Thursday in the New England Journal of Medicine, psychologists have discovered that the average person, while ostensibly appearing to be normal and mentally sound in their day-to-day lives, immediately becomes a deranged psychotic when alone at home.
We observed hundreds of subjects with successful careers, numerous friends, and loving families. Perfectly normal. But as soon as they were at their homes by themselves, they began presenting behavior consistent with those suffering from dementia, schizophrenia, and various other acute mental illnesses.
Researchers illustrated the study's findings with footage of 29-year-old test subject Brian Temple, who, despite having a steady job and maintaining an ordinary social life, exhibited increasingly erratic and unstable activity from the moment he was alone in his apartment, including dancing in his kitchen to no music whatsoever. Making grotesque faces in the mirror for extended periods of time, and seemingly having conversations with no one in particular.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Yes. Welcome back to Free Talk Live, the live radio call-in talk program where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about anything that is on your mind. The telephone number you need to do so is 202-380-3699. Grab yourself a Crayola and jot this down on the fridge.
A crown.
A what?
A crown. I'm just kidding, a crayon. I just hate when kids say crown. You've never heard that?
No.
Maybe it's just really not a northern thing, but when I went to...
I could see that, in the South. Crayon.
Yeah, can I get crown?
Right, yeah.
Oh my God, so annoying.
Anyway, 202-380-3699 if you'd like to join us on air tonight. In the studio, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, and...
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
We've been talking about, all sorts of things, but I want to tell you that Freedom's Phoenix is your source for all news, economic news, government overreach, insane government spending, and more. Get today's headlines all in one place from a fresh, libertarian perspective. You can find all this and more at freedomsphoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. Ernie puts on a good show. He's an entertaining fella as well. So we have been talking about, yes, that's right, it's still open, Guantanamo Bay. Did we have more from the article?
Yes, there's more. It's really sad because, like a lot of people in America, these prisoners thought that, to steal a term from Mark, geriatric Jesus was going to come and save them from Guantanamo Bay. But no.
Steal all the Markisms you want. Sometimes they are hilarious.
But no, conditions have deteriorated since Joe Biden has came into office for some reason, according to detainees.
Geriatric Jesus didn't make it any better?
No, he didn't come save them.
I thought everybody who was voting for geriatric Jesus thought he was the guy who's going to come and save it all. Well, I guess at least there's no offensive tweets going out by this president, right?
Just worse Guantanamo Bay treatment.
Yep.
Okay, so on the last segment, we were talking about a 19-year detainee named Abdul Latif Nasser who said, how can it be so much worse than when Biden was president? Well, Nasser, who is from Morocco, is what's known as a forever prisoner. Though he was cleared for transfer in 2016, he has no idea when or if he will ever be free. Besides Nasser, detainees Asadullah Haroon Gul and Ahmed Rabbani have told Vice News through their lawyers that conditions at the American military prison have rapidly worsened over the last few years. Men like them at Guantanamo count their years through passing American presidents. When Biden was elected, they had hoped things might improve, but while conditions at the prison have never been exemplary, detainees say they have recently become even less tolerable.
I mean, it's got to be pretty bad when the prisoners are like, hey, it got worse.
At Guantanamo Bay.
Guantanamo Bay, of all places, right? This isn't like, the New Mexico Department of, Criminal Detention or whatever it's called, where New Mexico, if you don't know, is infamous for importing prisoners from other states to their prison because they'll take good care of them there. And their prisons, of course, are horrendous. And
I thought you were saying they were good. No,
no, they're horrendous and they get but
sarcasm there.
Yeah, sarcasm. This is far worse than that. Yeah. Guantanamo Bay is far worse than that. And the prisoners at Guantanamo Bay get treated far worse than your standard federal prisoner gets treated. And for them to say it's getting even worse than that, I mean, that's got to be something.
They've gotten waterboarded. I know that there's a lot of
they were tortured, and it was they were literally tortured. And there's things that were done to these prisoners that we can't talk about on radio. It was so bad.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I know we talked, me, Mark, and Ian one time way before the raid. We talked about a story with Guantanamo Bay, and I learned all kinds of horrible things from that article. I was like, whoa, I had no idea, but I can't really remember them because I don't like to think about torture, probably.
All perpetuated by the goons, the tyrants, the despots, the parasites, the thugs, the gang of idiots, liars, thieves, lunatics, and killers known as government.
Psychopaths. Set up by psychopath President George W. Bush's administration in 2002 following the 9/11 terrorist attacks, Guantanamo held about 780 people at its peak, including terrorist suspects and combatants from Afghanistan. While hundreds have been released over the years and transferred to other countries and U.S. prisons, Guantanamo still remains open, and scores of critics have pointed to the torture and harsh interrogation methods once used there as indicative of the U.S.'s now almost 20-year war on terror. Oh yeah, they're fighting a war against terror. They're totally not terrorizing people.
Yeah, I mean, terrorism, it seems like the U.S. has terrorized far more people on a regular basis, year after year after year, since I don't even know how far back, World War I probably, at least.
They absolutely terrorized me, my dog, and my roommates and my boyfriend on March 16th, 2021. They broke in our windows and let my dog run around the street, made us walk through glass, me and my dog and my boyfriend.
Yeah, of course, threatened you at gunpoint and rolled in big military-looking vehicles that look like tanks that are basically armored vehicles. They're military equipment.
Look like
tanks.
Pointed at
from the military.
They're a form of tank.
Pointed at me with guns, telling me to go outside naked in 10-degree weather.
The other thing about
it was freezing that morning.
The other thing about terrorism is when the government was preparing for this war against terrorism, they had to spend some time because they were unable to find a definition of terrorism that didn't also apply to their organization.
Yeah, how could they be fighting against, people who drop bombs on people? Well, they can't be fighting against that. Let me look up a new definition.
Right.
It says now Biden has indicated he wants to close the prison by the end of his term. He is not even in his first year. He has 4 years. Why can't you just do it now?
Right, yeah. If he has the power, just go ahead and do it. Don't plan to do it later on, and that he'll use that for his re-election campaign.
Yep.
Well, if you re-elect me, this time I'll close Guantanamo Bay, and I mean it, instead of planning to do it at the end of my term.
The article goes on to say, though that doesn't currently seem likely. When the election happened, there was kind of a sense of relief. Again, realistically, I guess this is somebody's quote, not expecting things to change overnight or anything, but okay, at least now we can start moving forward, said Mark Maher, a lawyer with Reprieve U.S. who represents detainees at Guantanamo. But over time, Maher said his clients became alarmed as they said their situations worsened. The past couple of conversations I've had with some of the hardest, oh my God, there's lots of typos here. The past couple of conversations I've had have been some of the hardest I've had to deal with my clients. Detainees described deteriorating facilities with broken toilets and locks and burned out light bulbs. What appears to be a slowdown in medical treatment with basics like aspirin and Band-Aids not available, and harsher treatment from guards. In prior administrations, detainees said there were at least some communication with guards, but now they face the silent treatment. Usually if a guard is around, you might just speak with them about movies, culture, food, etc., Nasser said. There is now no communication between guards and detainees. That's torture.
Yeah, elimination from any avenue of news or whatever, even if it's just social stuff, culture and that kind of thing, certainly qualifies.
Yeah, it's I'm always disturbed when you hear stories about the United States. And the crazy thing is the United States does this throughout its prison system routinely. They throw people in holes or boxes, basically.
Yep.
And all sorts of really, just even if the condition of the box was like, okay, which it's not, the whole point is to punish somebody using violence. You're deprived of that human element, that communication for months and months on end. And that's not right. That's torture.
Yep. And again, probably the largest torturer on planet Earth is the organization type known as government. I can't think of anybody else who tortures more. 202-380-3699. Can you think of anybody who tortures more?
After a devastating war, the alien visitors were driven back, and their willing human collaborators were left behind to face the music. When Emma Jean Anderson's ex-lover brings her from prison, Nathan Foster and his 14-year-old nephew Ben are tasked with bringing the pair to justice. An easy enough job until they discover something is inside Emma Jean, and the fate of the planet hangs in the balance. The Family Business by Mike Coopery from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to Free Talk Live. We are the live radio call-in talk program where you can call in and take control of the airwaves. Talk about anything that is on your mind. The number, 202-380-3699 is the number you need if you want to join us in the studio. That's the number here. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
Now, if you didn't know what Guantanamo Bay was, it might sound like a neat vacation destination. It sounds a little tropic. It sounds like it might be I'm going to catch some waves at Guantanamo Bay or something like that, right?
Maybe it used to be.
I don't know, but it certainly has, if it ever had any sort of positive imagery associated with it, if you're in the United States, odds are that's gone. Do we have more?
Oh, yeah. So that same prisoner, the forever prisoner from Morocco who's been there for 19 years named Nasser, he said that the switch was so abrupt, it appeared to be a directive from above, which makes me even more suspicious. Oh, I'm sorry, the switch from them being able to talk to the guards about culture, food, life, etc., movies, and then all of a sudden they get the silent treatment from the guards.
All these changes that these prisoners have noticed where it's made things actually worse in arguably one of the worst prisons on planet Earth.
This year, under Joe Biden, he said the switch was so abrupt that it appears to be a directive from above. I am suspicious there is some kind of order we don't know about, which is even more suspicious for Joe Biden. We know that we have a cop president and vice president, so it wouldn't surprise me. But
yeah, if people and writers like this particular person, though apparently he's a bad writer, if they want to blame the Biden administration for the change, I personally don't think that Joe Biden has the mental capacity to make really any decisions at all.
That's true.
Much less send out an order that's very specific to Guantanamo Bay to make things worse than they were and cut off certain things and all these things that have you've covered so far.
He can't drive by himself.
He can barely speak.
Well, this prisoner, he says, it's creating the not being able to talk to the guards. It's creating a tension between the guards and the detainees that we do not need.
Yeah, I can't imagine. When you're cut off from human contact, studies have been done on this from, militaries, of course, but people will give up and they will become suicidal when they're cut off from human contact.
I wonder if that's what they're trying to cause, is suicide.
Maybe. We get so little information about what goes on inside of places like Guantanamo Bay that it's hard for anybody outside to assess that.
It would be interesting to hear what people in U.S. federal prisons have experienced since as well, and compare the two, because I wonder if it's a policy that somehow stretches across U.S. federal prison systems.
That's true.
Another thing I'd like to just point out to the listeners, perhaps you've never heard this program before, or you're new to Free Talk Live. One of the fallacies is that the government is run by the people.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, if that's true, shouldn't the government be giving you some sort of a report card on their performance every year?
Or letting you know why they're doing these things to the prisoners that supposedly they're protecting you from the prisoners. What I was thinking about this too when Chris brought up the hole, like how they put people in the hole, the box, the solitary confinement. There's nothing that you can do to this organization called the government, the United States government, that is worth them treating you like that. They're an evil organization. And you can't hurt their feelings. Well, okay, aside from them being an evil organization, they are an organization, not a person. You can't actually hurt them. So why are they allowed to do whatever they choose to people? Nobody's getting reparations here.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is that the organization exists in violation of consent.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Nobody has ever consented to be governed that I'm aware of, not outright consented. Now, let's just say that you never did and somebody approached you with this idea. Here's the idea. Hey, I think we should rule all these people over here from this water body to that water body. I think we should rule over all of them. And in order to pay for us ruling over them, we will just take some of their life force from them at the point of a gun to pay for all the things that we want. And when they complain about it, we'll just give them a little bit back here and there to make them feel like we're doing something for them. And that's how we'll run the place. That sounds like a good idea, right? You want to sign up? Here, sign right here. Would anybody in their right frickin' mind sign up for that?
I wouldn't. I certainly didn't sign up to be under the United States government that puts people... I never asked them to put people in the hole like Ross Ulbricht. I never asked them to give Ross Ulbricht 2 life sentences plus 40 years for, selling people drugs.
The evolution of mankind to a more peaceful, prosperous, and free future.
Yeah, what's that quote? Something about, the government and treating its most marginalized group, which would be prisoners.
Well, the organization type known as government, the violation of consent is certainly not going to forward human evolution, right? There's all sorts of stuff in the media about bullying and about, he touched me and, all the Hollywood stuff and the pedophiles and all that kind of stuff, right? There's so much of it in the news. And yes, if it violates consent, it is wrong.
Yep.
Right? That's universally agreed upon by almost every human culture on the planet. There's very few human cultures that don't respect or identify consent as the number one thing that's, makes the difference between right and wrong.
And the crazy thing is they'll deny that it's wrong, right? Like it's not even like they're saying, oh, I did something wrong. They just deny it. They're denying that what they're doing is wrong.
Yeah. Well, and people like the general population, they don't look into it any further than a cursory inspection and believe what they're told because, well, they've outsourced it, right? This group of people gets to do evil because, they wear a special badge or they've been elected, quote unquote.
The experts said that Guantanamo Bay is the best way to protect us, so.
Right.
What expert?
The experts.
What expert?
The government.
It's the old science, right? Now it's the science. Trust the science, right? But before it was the experts. Trust the experts. The experts that we parade out in front of you. At any rate.
So back to the decaying conditions at Guantanamo Bay, it says, in addition, the physical condition of the facility appears to be decaying. The lock on my cell has been broken for weeks, said Gul, one-time commander of the now former Hezb Islami militia, which once fought alongside Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. Oh, wow. That's crazy.
So he is clearly a prisoner of war.
Oh, clearly. Of the war on terror, right? 202-380-3699. If you'd like to join us on air, more Free Talk Live is on the way.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Karl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
If you're looking for work, you know the math. There are many more applicants than openings, so you need to stand out, not blend into the blah, blah, blah your interviewer is hearing from your competition. Here's a tip. In your interview, you will be judged more by the questions you ask than the answers you give. Yes, do anticipate the obvious job interview questions and prepare concise, insightful, glass-half-full sounding responses. And you should interview your interviewer. Seem genuinely curious about what will help get results. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. You want to cut through the clutter. For more tips for job seekers and making all the other conversations you have more productive, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live is the name of the show. It is the Friday night edition. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the Lord Reverend Dr. Captain Kickass, and joining me,
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
We've been talking about, what is the headline of this particular article? I know it's about Guantanamo Bay and how the conditions have worsened, but what's the headline here?
That's it. Its conditions are worse
since the emperor, the new emperor.
Detainees say, Guantanamo detainees say conditions are worse since Biden became president.
I see. So we're going to continue talking about that because apparently there's more to this article. But before we do, I want to say thank you to Leah Hoffman. Leah is a silver level amplifier. Now, what is an amplifier, you might ask? Well, it's a person who contributes some money to the amplifier program. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. And you can find out all about the AMP program over at amp.freetalklive.com. Now, Leah gives $5 a month. You can give more if you want. There's different levels. And if you do contribute to the amplifier program, there's some little perks that you get, like the AMP-only Facebook group, and there's an AMP-only podcast and that type of a thing. But the real reason to contribute is to help get this program that you are listening to onto more radio stations. We're currently on something like 200 radio stations. We could be on more. We're also on the internet, and we're on a couple of satellite channels as well. So your contributions are being put to good use. Your contributions are used specifically and only for those purposes. So, they don't go into my beer budget. They don't go into Chris's business. They don't go into Bonnie's addiction to all things Lady Gaga. No, this money goes directly to help us spread the message of liberty, peace, and prosperity and freedom for humanity to those who may not have been exposed to this type of messaging before. So thank you, Leah Hoffman. We appreciate you. And find out more over at amp.freetalklive.com.
Okay, so we were reading a quote from a prisoner whose last name is Gol, who used to be a Hezbi Islami militia member. It says, "There are brothers here. Their toilets have been broken for months. It is awful. They do not care about us." Just last month, the Justice Department argued at a U.S. District Court hearing that despite a withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan, the U.S. will continue to detain Gol, the guy that I just quoted, who's been detained for 14 years. "We remain at war with al-Qaeda," says Justice Department lawyer Stephen Elliott during the civil proceeding. "The government of Afghanistan has recently requested Gol's return as well. Now Gol is protesting his treatment. I am still on hunger strike and I am refusing my food. This is my peaceful protest. It is a very clear and peaceful message without violence," he said. "As far as my health condition, every single day of my life in Guantanamo, my health is getting worse and I am suffering from many health issues." Oh, it shows his parents here.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I can't imagine what these people go through. For what? Because some politician is arguing over imaginary lines, or some other politician wants somebody in power who's not in power, and that type of a thing.
Maybe because we keep propping up a alien nation called Israel in the middle of Palestine.
Well, and that, and of course the oil. Let's not forget about the oil.
Oh yeah, definitely oil.
There's a whole bunch of that black liquid gold over there in them there hills. Except I'm not talking about the South. I'm talking about the Middle East. Anyway, continue.
The unified hunger strike for the men of Camp 6, according to Meher, he was the lawyer who represents some of them, took place primarily over Ramadan. It is an important time of the year, and for them it's already a difficult time because it's a time they would be spending with their families. It was to make a point to the administration, Meher said, about the seriousness of their current situation. But detainees aren't sure the administration is listening. "We used to pray for Biden to come and be the president for the United States." Wow, that's literally some geriatric Jesus stuff. Nasser said, "A lot of things are happening that haven't happened in 19 years. Gol echoed that feeling. "It does not matter who the president is, Biden or Trump, we are the victims always. Me, I am feeling bad. I have a headache constantly, my eye is twitching. Even now my hands are shaking as I try to talk to you," he said. Gol said he is not getting appropriate medical care. "It's not easy to get the appropriate medication in Gitmo. It is sad that I am not allowed to see my medical records, which are classified," he said. "This is a big reason why I worry about my health. I do not know how long I will survive. Only God knows." "There's a great deal of frustration and agitation and despair," said Pardis Kiabri, an attorney at the Center for Constitutional Rights who represents Sarkawi al-Hajj, a current Guantanamo detainee. Chiabri also corroborated these concerns of deteriorating conditions and said her communications with Al-Hajj, she said, have given her the sense that things have gone from bad to worse since the Biden administration came to office. Her own client, she said, is still on hunger strike and has been on and off for years. That's just... is so weird. Why is Biden wanting to, torture these people who are being tortured even more? I mean, like, especially with the wars apparently ending.
Isn't that like one of his things?
Yeah, he likes torturing and imprisoning people.
Oh, I thought he just like sniffing like young folks.
I thought it was more than
other
that.
people.
He made the 1989 crime bill, or maybe it was 99 crime bill.
That's right. He did. It's true. What a bastard.
He loves prisons. Apparently. And so does Kamala Harris. She, smiles at the idea of keeping people in once they, by withholding evidence.
Oh, that was disgusting.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, she does there's like a mural of her face made of all the people that she, denied letting them out of jail.
Wasn't there, didn't she say something like, I enjoy locking up kids or something? Like something really creepy and disgusting. And it was like, and denying parents access or something to their kids and all sorts of weird stuff.
You have to be a creepy and disgusting human being to want power, to desire power over other human beings, to want a position in which you can exercise violence at your will, essentially.
Yeah, and it's it's the extreme of it, right? Like it's like I could handle people, liking violence, but the extreme to which they like it, and it's a thing they do every day. It's like it's not like you can resist. Can't you resist just a little bit so that the world isn't such a crummy place to live?
It's because they're psychopaths. They're actually psychopaths.
Right. Well, and this is why they go and they seek power, in the places that they do.
And society is dumb. Yes, I'm talking to all of you out there. Society is dumb for allowing an organization with a monopoly on the use of violence to exist, to give these psychopaths somewhere to go, to lord this power over everybody else and use their violence to satisfy their sick hunger.
Don't vote. Don't pay taxes. Use Bitcoin. Get out of their system.
I like it. That's great.
The Department of Defense disputes these accounts. Oh, so they're saying that these prisoners are lying. And not only denies that conditions have changed there, but also says that there have been no hunger strikes at Camp 6, even though they're telling their lawyers that they're doing that. There are no changes in the treatment of the detainees at the naval station.
It should be pretty easy to tell if somebody's on a hunger strike for any duration of time just by physical appearance. Now, I don't know that the lawyers are getting to see these people like in person, or if they got to see them even on a Zoom call, but it should still be relatively easy for the lawyers to tell whether or not their clients are being honest about the hunger strike.
I mean, that's assuming that the lawyers are being given access to their clients because they were denying them access for a long time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's hard to tell what is and isn't allowed to happen there, particularly with lawyers and clients, because, do they even get a lawyer? Are there people in there that, their rights are being so, eschewed and so violated that nobody even knows that they're in there?
Yeah.
It's entirely possible. 202-380-3699 is the number if you'd like to join us here on Free Talk Live. More coming up.
Free Talk Live.
Why would they go around bombing people around the world? Doesn't that make us less safe?
Oh, you know what? I guess some of these people got it coming. It's a good day to be dead if you're a terrorist search.
How many of the people that the U.S. military has killed in the last decade have been terrorists?
A whole bunch of them. You know what?
Percentage?
You sound like some liberal church.
What percentage?
A lot of people.
I'm not a liberal, sir. Liberals support war, from what I can tell.
Take a look. Obama
we support war when we need it. We have justifiable war. You know, there's people like you. Triumph when good men do nothing, you jerk.
Wait a second, Charlie.
I'm not bombing anyone.
You can feel however you feel about me, but Smedley Butler, the two-time Medal of Honor winning Marine, felt the same way.
Well, you know what? Because they're headed the right way. You know what? We should have went after China. We should have chased those tricoms across that river, and we should have bombed them. We should have nuked them. We should have...
You are horrible.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. The LRN.FM's social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It is the final segment of tonight's episode of Free Talk Live. We're here 7 nights a week from 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. Eastern Time. If you don't live in the Eastern Time Zone, do some math. But 7 nights a week, those are the hours that you need to call if you're going to call and you want to be on the show. You may be hearing us outside of those hours, and if you are, thank you for listening. But if you want to call and get on the radio, you have to call between those hours. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
We've been talking about the conditions worsening at Guantanamo Bay, somehow known as Gitmo for some reason that I'm not sure. It's not really an acronym, so I'm not sure how Gitmo is easier to say than Guantanamo.
That is weird.
But, yeah, it's weird.
Maybe it's just like a countrified version. I've never thought about it, honestly.
Oh, interesting.
Gitmo.
Gitmo.
Yeah.
I got to get mo. Maybe because they're going to get. and they're going to get Mo at Gitmo. I don't know. Yeah, I've carried that far too far. We have something from this article that you wanted to get to, though.
Oh, yeah. So this spokesperson, Michael L. Howard, which is a spokesperson for the Department of Defense, which just means liar. If you go to the library account, lbrylibrary.com, and go to the Free Keen channel, you can see a video of Chris and I telling the spokesperson at the federal courthouse that he's a liar for everything he was saying to us. Spokespeople for the government are liars. They're trained, paid liars. So this man, Michael L. Howard, spokesperson for the Department of Defense, told Vice News, the mission at the detention facility is aligned with American values, and that it,
Yeah, okay. Not my values, that's for sure.
that it provides safe, humane, and legal care of law of armed conflict detainees who would otherwise be dedicated to harming the United States and its citizens.
Safe and humane? Have they do they not read their own press? Do they not watch television?
Yep. When I watch the fireworks on 4th of July, I'm just thinking, thank God my American values are being upheld at Gitmo right now.
Thank goodness
Guantanamo.
that other human beings are being tortured inhumanely and kept in conditions that are inhumane. Thank goodness Guantanamo exists. Wow. That is sarcasm, by the way, for those of you audio editors out there trying to take us out of context.
So the article goes on to say, still, making life more bearable at the prison itself is a short-term goal. These men want to be transferred. It's been over 4 years since there's been a transfer from Guantanamo, with one exception. There are people that are approaching 19 years of detention, said Chiabri. That's a female lawyer from one of these law offices that represent detainees in Guantanamo Bay.
19 years inside of a place that should not even exist. Ethically, morally, legally, you name it. It should not exist in any way, shape, or form.
A place where people don't have human rights at all. It has been, oh yeah, I already said it's been years without movement. There's been total stagnation. I think when Biden came into office, there was, of course, expectation. And now that we've got 6 months without any official policy, any transfer, even of the men who've been cleared for years. Yeah, there are some men who, like there was someone earlier on in the article that we covered who got cleared for transfer in 2016, but he still hasn't had any word since then.
5 years go by.
Yep.
We just sort of flaked.
This is government. You know, it's
They take holidays.
Yeah, holidays. That's one way to put it.
The slowdown of services has also been particularly troubling to these men. To get absolutely nothing, anything, a Band-Aid, an aspirin, to get a light bulb changed in your cell, if there's a problem with the plumbing and things like that, the way it's been described to me is that normally under past administrations is that if they wave at the camera in their cell, they get some kind of response from the guards after a certain period of time, said Maher. Everything has just been taking longer. Rabbani has been detained for 19 years without trial, and his brother, also held at the prison, was recently marked for release by Biden. Any medicine that is needed, it takes months. Problems with the electricity, etc., takes a long time to fix it, said Rabbani, who was brutally tortured by the U.S. He has never been charged with a crime, and his name appears as a victim in the U.S. Senate report on torture at Guantanamo.
Wow.
So there's a U.S. Senate report on torture at Guantanamo, and that spokesperson for the United States Department of Defense has the gall to say, oh, we run this facility in accordance with American
values.
Values.
Yeah, that's so
I don't value torture. Do you?
I definitely don't value torture.
You know, there are far better ways to deal with people than torture. Right? First of all, torture violates the non-aggression principle. Second of all, things like, large organizations with a monopoly on violence, right, also violate the non-aggression principle. So those things need to be done away with immediately, if not sooner.
The government should lead by example and not do what their so-called enemies do. Right?
Yes.
And
yes.
that's just not, unfortunately.
Yeah, whatever happened
reality.
to the the myth that diplomats from the United States government could go and talk and come to agreements with other governments and without any violence. Whatever happened to that? It's gone the way of the dodo. Because guess what? Government only knows one thing, and that is force. That's all that it does. That's all that it is. It is the result of force. It exists because of force. And the only thing it uses to get its way is force. And it does it all without your consent.
Yeah, force and threat of force.
Seriously.
This says, though President Barack Obama announced plans to close the prison within his first year of office, he did not do it as concerns about where the detainees would be transferred from supermax prisons in the United States to other countries stalled the process. In 2018, President Donald Trump signed an executive order to keep the prison open and approved the transfer of only one inmate.
So for those of you out there who think that because you're a Republican or you're a Democrat, that your side is better than the other side, neither of you are better than the other. You're both just as insane as the other. Because guess what? One of your presidents didn't do what he promised to do, and the other one, well, kept it open. And the next one, also keeping it open, says he plans to close it before the end of his term, which is, not even 1/4 of the way through. It's horrible. It's horrifying. I can't, I'm speechless that the thing even is open and that two Democrats and a Republican have both refused to close the thing. Oh, we don't know what we're going to do with well, you let them go. That's what you do.
If you can keep it open with an executive order, you can close it with an executive order. It doesn't take 4 years.
Yep. Bam.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you can't try them because you have no evidence, release them. If they do something, terrible, well, arrest them and throw them in a cage and give them a trial,
Yep.
So a few days later, it was announced that the envoy position may now be on hold. I don't know what that means. The envoy? I'm not sure what that word
Breaker
means.
19, we've got ourselves an envoy.
Envoy?
Oh, wait, no, sorry. I'm thinking of convoy, not envoy. Sorry, my bad.
We all certainly understand that the Biden administration has a lot on its plate, but we're getting to the point where this has to start being a priority, said Maher. It's no small thing for them to have been kept for close to 20 years with very limited access to their family and with no real explanation as to why it is that they continue to be detained. And there's only 40 of them. That's the weirdest part. There's 40 detainees right now. What is the big...
They can't figure out where to put 40 people?
Yeah, what is the big problem with moving 40 people?
Yeah, I think it's because our government is just so weak that if they release 40 of them, they won't be able to figure out where they went after. And if they, raise an army, and start shooting at us, we're going to, our government is going to, fall, right?
Yeah, our government's so weak.
Our government is so weak, it's going to fall because of 40 people.
Yeah, our military that, spends more money than any other, institution on earth.
Oh, they do, by orders of magnitude. In fact, the military budget, if you put the next top 6 military spenders all together and add up how much they spend on military and then compare it to how much the U.S. spends on military, it's still more than those next 6 spenders combined. Tell me that the United States military is not an empire. I will call you a liar.
Yet they're worried about these 40 people who would be dead set on hurting the United States and its citizens if we let them out. No, I really don't think that's how that's going to, cause the fall of our entire civilization.
We're out of time for tonight. Join us again tomorrow, 7 to 10 p.m. or 7 days a week. Get our archives at freetalklive.com. Thanks. Peace.
A newly recruited search and rescue officer, Marshall Hunter was resigned to a life of rescuing wayward spacefarers and derelict satellites. But when a billionaire couple goes missing, his own ship is disabled during the rescue. With communication satellites suddenly failing and lunar mineral shipments disappearing in transit, the crew suspects it's more than a coincidence, and Hunter must choose between salvation and sacrifice to save his crewmates and their civilian charges. Frontier by Patrick Childs and BingBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money.